Yes. Fatahana, fatahatu, fatahatum, fatahatuma, fatahati, fatahata, fatahati, fatahatunna, fatahu, fatahna, fatahatum.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think you did it different orders. Read it again. I want to read it again, please.
Fatah, fatahata, fataha, fatahata, fatahati, fatahatum, fatahana, fatahatunna, fatahu, fatahna, fatahati, fatahu, fatahunna,
What does
fatahatunna,
what does the fatahtunna mean?
fatahatunna. You plural for feminine.
Open. Okay. It's a bit different order than I mentioned, but that's fine. As long as you understand what the scales mean and you could apply the same thing for any other verb. Sudais, you wanna do that for a different verb for verb wajada, for example? You wanna read out the scales?
Wajada, huma wajada, hum wajadu, and for hiya wajadat, hiya wajadta, and huma wajadta, and hunna wajadna, and then for the ta wajadta for the second person, singular male, wajadta, and wajadtuma and wajadtum, and for the female it's wajadti, wajadtuma, and wajadtunna, and for the plural first person it's wajadna, and that is for singular it is wajadtu.
That's good. That's very good. That's fine. Nazir, you wanna do the same? For verb, just say what verb? For example, you wanna do it for the verb wasala.
Wasala. Okay. So I'll be telling singular and then dual and then plural. Singular masculine followed by feminine. So wasala, wasalat, wasalat, wasalta, wasalti, wasaltu. Wasala, wasalat is singular masculine, and wasalat is singular feminine. Wasalta is singular second person, and wasalti is singular second person feminine.
What's wasalla?
Vasalna is dual. Sorry, plural third person.
Which plural is this? Masculine, feminine?
Plural is a feminine plural third person.
Okay, what happens if you add alif at the end? Wasalna.
Vasalna, it becomes we, first person plural.
Yes. Okay.
For both masculine and feminine.
How do you say feminine second person plural?
Feminine second person plural.
Plural, yeah.
Vasalna.
No, that's third person. Second person, like you, female plural. How do you say
for
that?
second person. Okay,
Yes.
second person vasala, vasalta, vasaltuma. So vasaltuma.
That's dual.
First dual, and for you're asking for dual, right? Dual feminine.
Plural. Three or more.
Dual plural.
No, dual plural for three or more people.
Dual plural. Okay, vasaltuma.
Wasaltunna.
Vasaltunna.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we need more practice on this. I'm gonna ask you guys to read again next week, because I mentioned this is gonna come many times. So, okay, let's start. Today's lesson is essentially what I've been waiting for, because that's where we can progress really fast now, because we've reached the verb, and verb is a key component in any language, and obviously Arabic is no exception. We've partly done the past verb. So today's lesson, which covers the past verb. So we're on chapter 12, I think. Let's have a look. Yeah, chapter 12. So this is past tense, and because we've done most of it, so hopefully the rules, in terms of rules, it should be straightforward. It should be revision for you guys, which shows how important things are, because when we repeat stuff in Arabic, it just emphasizes its importance. So we're going to do the, one second. Okay, I think we're recording as well. Yes, we are. So as I mentioned before, most of the verbs in Arabic are triliteral, which means they have 3 root letters. And I also mentioned that those 3 root letters denote a root meaning. Okay, it denotes a general meaning. And so what happens is we add prefixes, suffixes, we adjust the vowels, the harakat, and we could make large number of words from there, which have mostly something common within the meaning. So for example, kataba means to write, kitabun means a book, maktabun means an office. Same with qatala means to kill. Maktulun means killed, the person who's killed. Qatilun means the killer, and so forth. So I'm not going to spend, so I think everybody understands that. Now, we going to learn that in the past tense, so when you say past tense, what do we mean? We mean things, okay, past tense, okay, so the action has been completed, right? So it is in the past. And now we're going to learn is there's a possibility of past tense for the middle vowel to change. So the first vowel, the first letter, like fa'ala, if you look at fa'ala, the scale of fa'ala, 1 second. So fa'ala, the fa and lam remains the same, right? So if you look at fa'ala as an example, fa, ain, and lam, fa is the first root letter, ain is the second root letter, lam is the third root letter. Now the second root letter, which is ain, could have a fatha, it could have a kasra, it could have a dhamma. So for example, here, fataha, which we just done, which means to open or conquer. Okay, so depending on the context. Which is, this is on the scale of fa'ala, the ain has fatha. And hazina is on the scale of, what scale is that? Za has a kasra, fa'ila. Does it make sense?
Yeah, fa'ila.
Yeah. So what scale is kabura?
Fa'ula.
Fa'ula, yes. So the same thing, you know, like when you say fatahtu, I opened. Here you're just gonna say hazintu. I was sad, or I became sad. Or kaburtu, kaburtu, which means I became big or old. So it's the same scales, it's just the middle, the second letter, the root letter will have the dhamma or kasra instead of fatha. Is that understood?
Second, third root letter, right?
Sorry?
Third
Second will
person.
remain, second will keep its article as it is, correct?
No. Second one, second root letter.
Ah, you mean from the second one? Okay.
I'm
Second from the
talking
left.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Oh, it doesn't matter from the key thing is second root letter. That's what I'm saying. So that's what, for example,
Kaburta means kabu will remain same. Only ra will leave its dhamma, fatha, and it will become kaburta, right?
I don't understand what I'm saying. Look, what I'm trying to say is this. Okay. So for example, look, fatahtu, hazintu, or kaburtu. What I'm saying is that here they all have. I'm not talking about the two ending or anything like that because these are same for everything. But what I'm just saying to you is the difference between the first one and the second one is going to be that the first one has a fatha on the second root letter. The second one will have a kasra on the second root letter. And the third one will have a dhamma. So what I'm just saying is that it's the same scale, right? So when you say, أنا فتحت, نحن فتحنا, أنت فتحت, all we have to do is أنا حزنت, حزنت, نحن حزنا, and so forth. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so some verbs, even though they are classed as triliteral, they are known as doubled verbs in English grammar. What that means is basically, like for example, marara, it has three root letters. Yeah, meme as a root letter. First root letter is meme. Second root letter is ra, and third root letter is ra also. So what happens in that case is we could join the two ras. You join the two ras and just put a shutdown there, so it becomes marra. But if you open marra up, it was marara first. Originally it was marara, it becomes marra, which means to pass. So if you want to say to pass by, you're going to have to use the harf jar, the preposition be here. Same with here, jarara becomes jarra. Now when you want to say ana, you can't say marru, you can't say marratu, so you have to say ma rartu. Ana marartu. This is raw, by the way. Nahnu mararna. So it opens up. So it's the same of mararna. Anta mararta, antuma marartuma, antum marartum, anti mararti, antuma marartuma, antuna marartunna. Huwa marra. When he says huwa, instead of say marara, it says marra. So there's going to be difference in huwa, and huma is going to be marra. You just kind of add alif at the end because there's no reason for it to open up. Huwa marra, huma marra, both for masculine and feminine. And hum is going to be marru.
So that means for third person, we are not going to open it. And for the rest, we are going to open it up.
Yeah, you could look at it that way, yes. So even for here is marrat. Huma
sorry. Is this used to revert also, marra? Marra.
But for here, we are not opening. No?
Yeah, we're not. So for third person, yeah, that's different because
that's why I heard it very commonly. Marra ukhra, marratul ukhra.
Yeah, that's a noun. That's not a verb. Marratun, because it has dhamma, right? It means once again, right? So it's like repeat again. It's a meaning of passing, right? Humma marrata, and hunna. Hunna is going to open up. It's going to be mararna. So third person, if you take it simply third person, it doesn't open up except for third person feminine plural. For rest, it opens up. It doesn't open up for third person except the feminine plural. Does that make sense? Oh, but the thing is here, what's the good news is that this will be covered in detail in later chapters. So I haven't looked at the exercises. I'm not sure how often they will question you on this, but do you guys understand how this works?
Yeah, only for those which we should not have to open. That only we have to remember.
So the ones you don't have, yeah, just
The
I
one
don't
which
know.
we need to open, which is by default, we can open.
Yes.
Like because we have to add some suffix. So if you want to add some suffix, then we have to open actually.
Yes, but here is this here this suffix is marrat is suffix as well. Marrata is here suffix as well. But I think the key thing, if you just remember that you will not open the third person, except the only exception from that is the feminine plural, then I think that should be all right. Let me look at exercise. I don't think there's many questions on this because this will be covered in the later chapter. So I'm not sure if the author is just mentioning it. So okay, so we will cover this. Yes, it seems like we will cover this later anyway. So it's not too. As long as you guys get the general idea, I think I'm happy with that because we'll be covering that in detail. So we'll be memorizing the scale anyway later on in future chapters. Does that make sense? Okay, I think that was just a note more than that you're gonna apply this. We're gonna apply this in later chapters because there's chapters specifically dedicated to double verbs. Does that make sense for Hannah? Okay, she's gone. Does it make sense, Bakhtiar?
Yes, guys, understood. I got.
Okay, Burhan, you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
So
that's good. So also it mentioned that there are some words like qala. Originally it was qawala. Again, we don't need to worry about that because we will be learning how it became qala. So the way it normally works is if waw has a fatha before it becomes alif, so it became qala. So why is telling you that is that originally it was triliteral, because you may think it's just qaf and lam, but it's not. It was really the waw was there as well, and then even rama is triliteral as well. Qala means to say, right, as we covered. Yeah, as it says, it will cover in chapter 27 to 29. And also there are verbs which have 4 root letters, and that would be covered later as well. But those are very few compared to triliteral verbs. Okay. So there are, it mentions, in English, we have, or in Urdu or in other languages, we have 3 tenses. We have past tense, we have future tense, and we have present tense, yes? However, in Arabic, there's only 2 tenses. There's al-madi, which is what we're doing. We call the past tense for ease purposes. Then we have mudari, right? So madi in English, they call it perfect, and al-mudari, they call it imperfect. Well, al-madi, what that is it says that it denotes actions completed at the point when we are talking about it. And al-mudari means the action is incompleted. So al-mudari in Arabic can refer to present or future. It just means the action hasn't been completed. So there's no present and future. Present and future are one in Arabic. It's known as al-mudari, and we're going to cover that later. So don't worry about this. And we're going to find out how do we distinguish between how do we translate future or present. There's also imperative which is called al-amr, which is like command. So when you ask somebody to say sit, stand, eat, and that will be covered later, okay? As we covered, I'm not going to go through this, so because we've done this many times. So the perfect, the past tense, we call it the perfect. So we're going to start using the perfect or past, doesn't really matter to be honest, but we know that how to form the verbs. So basically, first the one refers to the first person. So first person and singular, we add tu at the end. So fatahtu, hazintu. Also second second means you, right? So here it says fatahti for feminine, fatahta for masculine. So fatahat for third person, she. And for third person singular, for masculine is fataha. So I just add a fatah at the last word. So diyul we add for the third person masculine, we just add alif is at the end as well. So fatahan, fataha. So these you could go through. I think that makes. Does anybody want me to go through these? I think this is pretty what we've done. So I don't think we need to go through that. Is that okay? Yeah. So again, these kataba, katabat, katabta, katabti, katabtu, katabna. These is I'll leave you guys to memorize. Okay, so I just explained that. Okay. Again, this is what we covered before. So we covered in when we introduced the verb, we said the normal order is the verb comes first, then the subject, which is nominative, unless if it's hidden inside the verb. Sometimes verb and subject are come as one. So fatahtu, they are combined together. And then we have direct object. So you can say katabtu risalatan. So we said object is going to be wa case, accusative. And then we have add variable and other matters. So things like if you want to say amsi, yesterday, or you want to say halan, once, all these kind of things, or fil bayt, or these kind of things, they come after the object normally. So for example, it gives you, like, as we know already. So if you go, sometimes the subject is mentioned separately. So wasala zaydun. Okay, the subject because it's nominative. This Zayd arrived. And sometimes if the verb is, the subject is not mentioned separately, it could be mentioned within the verb. Wasala, he arrived. Both are full sentences. And it gives example of the order, daraba, the verb comes first, al-abu, which is the subject, nominative. The father hit, daraba means to hit. Waladahu, walada. So here it's accusative. Who is there because that's like a attached pronoun. This is like a idafa here. So his son. So the father hit his son, halan, at once. And also I mentioned that when the verb in the third person comes before the subject, so if the verb in the third person comes before the subject, it is always in the singular. Okay, I've emphasized that many times. Katabal muallimu, katabal muallimani, katabal muallimuna. So all these cases, if you look at the subject, they're all nominative. Number one, obviously the subject has to be nominative. First one is singular, second one is dual, and third one is plural. But because the verb is placed before the subject, it's always singular. So it's always kataba, kataba, kataba for masculine. What would it be if it's feminine? It'll be katabat. Yes, katabat. So he says it will the verb preceding is subject. I will agree with it in the gender, right? So obviously we mentioned that. So if it's a boy, it'll be kabura al waladu, the boy grew. If it's a girl, it's going to be kaburat al bintu. And obviously here it gets kasra because it's joining directly onto the lam. Kaburatil bintu. Or here kaburatil banatu. So here banat is plural. But because the verb comes first, it's singular. But obviously it has to be feminine because girls are female. And same as kaburatil bintani. Again, verb is singular, feminine, and it means two girls grew. Okay.
So what is the difference between this and the previous one actually? The previous one, we don't need to change the verb because it is also coming in front of the subject, but it will be always in singular because the third person.
Yes.
Here,
there's no difference. Here, first it gives you an example of the fact that if we place the verb first, it's always going to be singular. Second one is the same thing. It's just telling you that it must the verb must agree in gender, even if it's placed first. So here, obviously, you write kataba, that's always going to be singular if you write it first. But it's only going to be masculine if the verb is masculine, if the subject is masculine. Right, that's what it's telling you. So it's saying that if it's a Fatima or if it's a muallimatu, feminine teacher, then it's going to become katabat.
Yes, correct. We did actually, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So even though it's feminine plural, the verb will be feminine singular.
Yes, if the verb comes first, that's the key.
Yeah.
If the verb comes before the subject. Does that make sense, Bakhtiyar?
Yes,
Okay.
just a little bit confused and like
what's the confusion?
Verb to come first, does it agree with the subject? Like because what come first and here the subject is according to the verb is according to subject. Kabura al waladu, but sometimes we use single verb like kataba, and.
So what's your question?
So third person.
So
because this is confused.
So what's the confusion? Look,
Confusion is that Kabura, the verb here was verb come first, but it agree with the subject is like subject is al walad, the boy.
So
there can be a
kabura is what? Which is it third person singular or not?
It is a first. It's a first. It's also a third person.
Sorry?
No, it is not third person.
Why not? Which person is this then? How, if al walad wasn't there, how do you translate kabura? Kabura means to grow old. How would you translate this? Is he I grew big, you grew big, he grew big, them two grew big, they grew big? How do you translate it?
He grew, they grew.
He grew. Sorry?
He grew.
You sure? Yeah.
Yes. He grew. I grew.
No.
They grew.
Bakhtiyar, just this kabura, what does it mean? Just make your mind up. What do you think?
Why we disagree with this?
No, brother, you
answer. And come first.
Bakhtiyar, you answer my question. My question is very simple. How do you translate kabura? I want to see you if you does it mean he grew, she grew, them grew, I grew? What does it mean? Kabura, just kabura. This here.
Just kabura is a grew.
Who grew? If I said to kabura,
he grew because the subject is within the verb. He grew.
Okay, he grew. Yes. So when you say he grew, what person is this? He.
Third person. It is a
And
third person.
and is he singular or not?
It is a singular.
Singular, yes. So that's all the rule is. The rule is that when the verb comes first before the subject, it's always third person singular.
Okay.
Okay, so it means if the subject wasn't there, it would mean he grew or she grew.
Yeah.
Okay, the third person is always the verb is always third person singular. The verb may be feminine or maybe masculine depending on the subject, but the number but it's always third person singular. So it's always going to be kabura or kabu. What's the feminine of this, Bakhtiar?
Feminine kaburat.
Kaburat. So it's so if the verb comes first, kabura, it's always going to be kabura or kaburat. It's going to be one is going to be kabura.
Yes. Kaburat, third person. She.
No. When would we use kabura? When we use kaburat, you know the difference.
Kabura is third person when use word within the verb is inside.
Okay. Okay. Can somebody else? You want to explain?
I can. Yeah, I will explain actually. Okay, by whenever the subject is third person, then in that sentence the verb has to be singular. Number first point. So the verb has then whether it has to be masculine or feminine, that will be decided by the subject. If the subject is feminine, the verb will be feminine. But if the subject is masculine, then the verb will be masculine. But it will be always singular. That's it. Only two rules. First, we have to see whether the subject is the third person or not. If it is a third person, then when the sentence starts with the verb, it will be always singular. Whether masculine or feminine will be decided by the subject. That's it.
Yeah. So when you say third person, you mean when the subject is mentioned separately, right?
Yes.
Yes. So when the subject when the verb comes first, so there's simple. Look, if you write it down, number one, when the verb comes before the subject, it says here, it is always singular. That's number one. And number two, the gender will be according to the subject. The gender of the verb will be according to the subject. Verb will be, obviously, if you still don't understand Bakhtiar, I'll recommend the videos we have on the verb when we done recording. I recommend you go and watch that. Will be according to the gender of the subject. Because you understand that, Burhan?
Yeah. Only one question. Why they say third person here in this? Is it only for the third person, not for the first? Why they say third person?
What do you mean third person?
I mean, is it for the second person, first person? If the subject is second person or first person, then obviously we will not. It will be hidden actually, right?
Yes, it'll be hidden. It'll be I or we or
So
you.
that's why they are telling third person.
Yes.
Understand?
Yes. Does that make sense, Sudais?
Yes, sir.
Burhan, make sense?
That means
Yeah.
and here one will be the singular ones. For the rest, you have to identify within the verbs.
Yeah, Farhana, make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So also, you know, we said that when the verb comes first, it's always singular, but it must agree in gender to the subject. And if the subject is a broken plural and it's a non-human being, then the verb can be masculine or feminine.
Feminine.
Feminine, because we said the broken plurals are feminine singular for agreement purposes. So here, najumu is a plural of najamun, najmun. Najmun means star. Najumun means stars. So because stars, Najumu is broken plural and refers to non-human being, is considered feminine singular. So the verb is feminine singular. It's Zaharat an-Najumu. Zaharat an-Najumu. The only reason why you add kasra is so it could join directly onto noon. Again, but obviously here a rijalu, the reason why this is masculine is because even though a rijal is broken plural, it refers to male human beings. Okay.